This is Kim and Kim, and welcome to Ask Moms podcast.
Welcome to Ask Moms, the podcast where we talk parenting, coffee, community, and the ways we're trying to raise decent little humans while unclenching our jaws and keeping our shoulders down. Mm-hmm. We are not professionals, but we're sharing our seasoned experience, and we're reminding you that
you're awesome.
If you need professional help, please reach out to a medical expert. Today, we're diving into a topic that feels super important right now. Life is busy, families are stretched thin, and kids are spending more time on screens. So are we. Parents are juggling work and home responsibilities, and mental health challenges seem to be touching every single family in some way.
Oh, my God.
Right?
Like, so true. And what if one of the simplest tools for supporting our mental well-being was waiting just outside our front door?
So exciting.
Yeah.
So today we are joined by our special guest, Sam, from Sam Outside, a program dedicated to promoting mental health through outdoor experiences and connection with nature. A big welcome, Sam.
Yes, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So tell us about Sam Outside.
Sam Outside is actually the name of my YouTube channel. It was something that I wanted to try to do, and then I did it, and I didn't realize what I'd done, and it has snowballed.
Was there a specific moment or experience that made you realize the outdoors could have such a powerful impact on mental health?
I had my first guided forest therapy experience in probably 2018, and so for me, it was the first time I'd realized it's something I always knew, something I always felt, and something I took for granted. But when I saw what they did and how they did it, I knew it was something that I could keep doing. But I was also watching the impact on the students, and I said, I have to do this.
When we hear people say things like, go outside, you'll feel better, is there actually science behind that? And can you explain what happens to our minds and bodies when we do spend that time outdoors?
It is physical, mental, and emotional change, and it doesn't really start till about 10 or 15 minutes into it. Spending time outside just naturally calms. It's known as a biophilic theory. So there's this ancient part of our brain. I mean, our entire human evolution was spent, and our emotional state based on our environment. We've adapted to all those sensory experiences in the natural world. If you want to fast track that, people are feeling differently challenged by their living world because it is not as natural. So there's something missing. So when we can spend 10, 20 minutes, it connects with that ancient part of our being, the biophilic theory. It reduces cortisol, right? That's our major stress hormone that's responsible for our very needed fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response. And our body naturally creates it out of necessity. Spending time outside just promotes a natural calm. Spending time outside is different than spending time in nature. Spending time in a forest is different than spending time in nature.
Oh, my God. I was just going to ask that.
Wow.
Yeah.
When people participate in your program, are there some people that are drawn more to the water? Some people are drawn more to the trees,
And
to the smell. Like, to me as a child, I remember the smell of pine needles after it rains in a path. I grew up going through the woods every day.
The studies are there. The science is there. The science originally came from Japan in the 1980s. And when at that time in the business world, it was so competitive that the pandemic of young Japanese business people were dying at their desk because of how competitive that world was. And so it got to the point where the Japanese government had to step in and say, we have to make some changes. So you start by forcing people to start work at a certain time, get out of the office, right? And you can't even eat in the building. So take away the vending machines, no more food access. You need to leave when it's appropriate. And what was amazing about that finding was that most of the developed parts of those cities were also surrounded by some very ancient shrines that were just an amalgamation of resources that focused on water and earth and wildlife and trees and tradition. And so when you've got these parks and then not so very far away, you've got ancient forests, and they really started to do the research. Why do we have this demographic dying in their 40s relative to a mile away? You've got a different demographic that's living into their hundreds. So what's the difference? Honestly, it was nature. So it was the 1980s was the first time that a doctor wrote the word nature.
Now I'm picturing all our kids playing video games for like 8 to 12 hours straight. Maybe there needs to be something into these video games saying, okay, everybody get up,
It's a
frozen,
vibrate.
and get out.
Actually, that's a good question. So, as moms, we often hear concerns from parents about anxiety,
Yeah.
loneliness, social pressures, and screen addiction. What trends are you seeing when it comes to mental health in children and youth?
Again, it is. It's the pressure, and we can't speak first person because it's not something we grew up with. I grew up outside. I would come back home when the street lights were on, come home when the moon is shining. Right?
Yeah.
So very different world. The best of advice I can give is they need exposure to nature. But there are studies, again, around the world. You can improve test scores. You can improve the results in academia by simply offering what we would consider nature. You can bring those things indoors. So when it's a certain color palette, it could be certain smells, certain images. When you can't bring people outside, bring outside in. So when they've got schools who have as much other living things, plants in the classroom, and there are certain colors that are more natural, but also smells, right? And although people are sensitive to them, fewer people are more sensitive to those natural smells.
How would you bring the smells inside?
I've just done them here. Use essential oils. And
Essential
put them
oils
under
on
it,
the
right?
cards.
Yep, absolutely.
And it's not synthetic, so it might not bother people as much.
Again, there's research showing that just simple bird song has a calming effect. It's natural. We're made of nature, and we are nature. And unfortunately, depending on your situation, where you are on this planet, where you are at this time in human history, it's not as easy. It's not as accessible as we would think. And I am very conscious and aware that I don't take it for granted because it helps.
And you're providing this opportunities for people who don't have access to that maybe as much as we do.
Especially in the schools,
Absolutely.
in the cities.
Yeah. Do you think today's kids are missing something that previous generations naturally experienced through the outdoor play?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a sense of curiosity, and there's a sense of resilience, and there's something about exploring on your own in your own terms, and then it begs questions and it begs research, and you learn and you're immersed, and so that really is my job as the guide, is to immerse you through a series of scaffolded or logical steps to get you from where you're at to where I believe, where I've been trained I can get you after a couple hours. I will expose you to the phytoncides from coniferous trees. So all trees communicate through their roots. Right? We know that's how they share messages, and they don't do that physically themselves. There's a microRhizae network that is the fungus that's in the soil, right? And so they share resources. Unfortunately, in our environment where the ground is frozen for literally 6 months of the year, the coniferous trees, the evergreens, are green for a reason. They're still active. They're still growing. They're still collecting solar energy, and there's still life in them. Sap is still flowing. So they have the ability to communicate. They just don't do it through their roots. So they do it on the air. So the byproduct of photosynthesis is oxygen, but there's also trace amounts of water vapor. And on that vapor are the tree's own essential oils. That's what these are. We're smelling them.
So they're sending messages through their vapor to other trees.
Yep. And again, there's a lot of science out there. And the fastest way to study these things in plants, it's something that grows, you can grow a couple of generations in a year, like a tomato plant, right? So you grow a bunch of tomato plants. They're all from the same, call them clones, from the same pod. They're all the same species, all the same size. Everything's the same about them. And then you give one a little bit of a stress. You give it a caterpillar. A tomato plant will change its chemistry. My leaf is being chewed here, but not here. So I'm going to change my chemistry to change the way it tastes this caterpillar. So it'll stop eating this leaf. Go to the next leaf. Oh, that one tastes even worse. But it's also sending that messages to all the other tomato plants. This hurts. I'm being leached of all change your blood chemistry. And they can't touch each other. They're in separate pots. So this is a pheromonic or essential oils, or otherwise known as phytoncides, right? But what that's also doing is, while that's sending that message to the other tomato plants, change your chemistry. We know this bug. It's that time of year. Change the way you taste. It's also sending those messages out into the air so that predatory wasps and other birds, the thing that's fuzzy with the stripes, I've got a lot of them. Come help me. And then the wasps on the air, right? It's just on messages in the air. They can trace them because, with science today, we can put trace elements into these plants and into other things, and then we can track it, right? Like whether it's the way we put certain things in our body, and like, well, where are they leaking, right? So then they can trace it. So they've tracked birds. All of a sudden, these trace elements are in these birds. I'm like, well, that's the thing we put in the tomato plant, and now this bird from miles away has it. It's inhaled it, it's breathed it in, and now this bird from miles away came to this tomato plant eating this caterpillar. Do you know how many other caterpillars it passed to get to this one? Because there was a message, come get me.
I'm so interested in that.
Thank you.
I draw trees.
I
I'm
love the
drawn to
science to it.
trees.
I love
I
it.
gotta
Yeah.
say,
You
and it's
literally
probably
draw
from my
trees, yeah.
childhood because we were surrounded.
That's called nature connection. We all have those places in nature that connect, right? And it comes from an old place, and it could be something very positive that hits you when you needed it to, and then it becomes a source for healing.
That makes
Interesting.
total sense to me.
So phytoncides are the tree's own essential oils. It's how they communicate. They're sending messages like, hey, I'm being eaten, or hey, there's a fire. Lock up your cones so that when you get burned, like there's something of your prodigy that's still alive. So they smell the smoke, and it's a message, but they can do that. That's how pine trees survive forest fires. So it's all airborne. So they're able to listen. They're able to send. When we walk through a coniferous forest, we smell it. Right? You just mentioned earlier, you smell the pine, but it's on the air. So I can walk through cedars and I smell cedar. I can walk through hemlock and balsam. Like sometimes it's the pitch, that smell of that sap. It's also airborne. They're landing on our skin. We're breathing it into our lungs. We're breathing it into our sinuses. It's landing on our eyeballs. Our bodies are absorbing it. But that's like any other vitamin or any other essential oil. If you're not in the state to receive it, I mean, people can pop vitamin D all the live long day, but if you don't activate it through the active sunlight through your eyeballs, it's expensive urine. So your body needs to be prepared to do with the phytoncides. So you have to be, right? You have to be in a parasympathetic state, which means you've got to be calm. That's the opposite of cortisol. You have to be, is to rest and digest and heal, right? So my job is to get you out of the sympathetic nervous system where you're stressed, and then it might take 20 minutes, it might take 2 hours, but by the end of it, after a couple hours of exposure in a coniferous forest, your body is ready to receive, and those properties of the phytoncides connecting with your own immune system, specifically they target NK cell production, natural killer cell production. So this is where natural killer cells, they're targeting all those cells that are different bad, right? Tumors, cancers, things like that. So if you can double and triple, quadruple, I mean, there's a lot of other things you can do for that. Fasting is one of them, right? Looking after your gut health, right? Sometimes it's not the thing you're doing, it's the thing you're not doing that will also help you start producing or keep producing.
What I like about your program, too, is the fact that it can also be a proactive medicine.
100%.
So if you can get children outdoors when they're young and get this instilled in their minds, it's healing. Yeah. They grow up healing themselves. But for someone who's a mom or dad that's rushing around every day, it could be a simple thing.
When someone is feeling anxious, and they're having that moment, if there is a trained professional nearby, in your own words, share with me what you think their first advice is going to be to that person.
Breathe.
Thank you. And I recommend box breathing, right? So inhale over a count of 4, hold at the top for a count of 4, completely deeply exhale for the same count of 4, and then hold at the bottom for another 4 count, and do that 4 or 5 times. Yeah. And that's the most common, and it's possibly the most simple because it becomes rhythmic after a while. It's not that, it doesn't take that much effort. And when you get that tired feeling, that 3 o'clock, like, oh, I need a nap or I'm bloated or whatever, you can breathe differently and jack that, that energy rate up. Right?
So ditch the coffee and do the deep breathing.
Yeah.
My job as a guide is to get them there. And if people don't have that ability, that skill set, all it takes is sometimes the simple act of having someone else say something sounds different, right? So you get out of your own head, right? And we talked about this earlier. The average person has 60,000 thoughts a day in their own head, 80% of which are not kind. We allow ourselves to speak to ourselves in a way that we would not be allowed to speak to others.
Wow.
In general. And so my job as a guide is to help you find ways through sensory work in nature. Nature is going to provide its own healing. You just have to spend time outside. Eyes closed, just listen. That's all you're doing. So that provides focus. And while you're doing the intentional, mindful, present awareness of only breathing, only smelling, only listening, only all those things, what are you not doing?
Thinking.
My taxes are due. My gas tank is empty. What's for dinner? So all those things.
I have a double chin.
Yeah. So call it a distraction.
You don't, by the way.
But while you're participating in all those things in nature, you're also absorbing the phytoncides, and your brain is getting calm. Cortisol levels are dropping. You're getting daylight. You're getting fresh air. Serotonin levels go up. You're doing something you believe is kind for yourself. So you're dropping little bits of oxytocin because we're also holding counsel, and there's others, even if it's just me, right? There's a little bit of dopamine in there. And the fact that we're actually just outside and actually moving, no effort, very little ground, but in nature, it's a different terrain, engaging different muscle groups, a little bit of endorphins because you're doing something good and physical. So there's all these happy chemicals. So the scale is going the other direction. Your pendulum is still going to swing, but if this becomes a habit, it becomes a practice, your pendulum doesn't go as far. It doesn't stay at one end for any longer than it should, and it's all about self-regulation.
And you're giving everybody the skills and tools so that when they leave and they find they need this, they know what to do now. They can go outside.
I have so many resources. I will send you the curriculum. This is what we did, because if you go through my, call it teacher's guide, I mean, there's literally 100 options of things we can do, and I just want you to know that we did these 4 or 5. Explore more, add more. But if there's a topic or a subject, or if I'm offering a tea, this is what we had. These are the benefits. So I like when I'm doing a sign-up themed event, we're just about teas. We're just about, it's a harvest walk, or we can just do a sunrise walk, or we can just do, a gentleman's fellowship walk. So I can theme it however you want. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, themes. You just opened up a whole world. What if somebody's getting married or something
Absolutely.
and you need to find that calm? What about VR, virtual reality goggles? Like if,
Right. Hey, like I spend a lot of time creating YouTube content, and so I make an active choice that when I'm on YouTube, I'm either learning how to continue to YouTube, or I'm watching other people. And again, I haven't really been great at it. I'm still learning, because I've got videos are just about walking in nature, videos about that aspect, and sometimes it's foraging. So I'm watching videos about people that I subscribe to that are all about walking as a form of exercise.
And then you stop and say, this tree here would be really great for, or whatever. And
But when I was watching your video, I felt like I was walking along with you. So I bet you could really help a lot of people.
And that's why I chose to do it, right?
Good for you.
They all have, again, they're all, and I've had a need to repeat some of them, just they're whimsical that way. But I walk my dog twice a day, and I've got my phone with me, and so I've probably recorded hundreds of videos that I just never ended up posting because, again, the phone died halfway, it was too cold, or the mic wasn't on, or I tripped and fell. So
like you're a human.
You're right. So I'm like, I'll try again tomorrow.
Actually, you should post those ones.
Well,
make the rest of us
is-
feel
Oh, yeah.
better.
Just
when
the
we
make us
trip.
feel better.
Yeah.
I do have a question going back inside, though.
Please.
What do you have suggestions on what kind of plants to have inside? But
Honestly,
top 5, that would be help to heal. Yeah.
To help heal, they're all good. The reason we have indoor plants, I mean, in specific, some of them are great at purifying the air. A spider plant is so good, like you can't kill them.
Pet friendly?
Yeah. And they're just great for the air, right?
Spider plants.
Spider plants are great.
Okay.
And they're pretty.
Yeah. And they just self-propagate. And
So what do they do?
They just purify the air.
Okay.
Yeah, they're really good for us that way. So my children, when they were wee, bought me a money tree, and this was like something that was only like 8 inches tall.
Yeah.
So we have a 10-foot ceiling in one part of our house, and it's like touching the lights. And so at some point, rather than start to learn how to prune a money tree, or so it grew.
What kind of tree is it?
A money tree.
I didn't even know they grew that tall.
Neither did we.
No.
We have a money tree. It's like, I hate to say it, but it's like half dead.
Right. Well,
We do water it, but it's hanging in there. It's probably 5 years
have you
old.
transplanted it into a
The
bigger
cat
pot?
gets into it. Yeah, maybe we'll probably.
Yeah.
I'm going to take better care now.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
So spider plants.
Yeah,
You got a money
I
tree?
just like the money tree. So a
What
Christmas
about
cactus. is
Christmas
beautiful.
cactus?
Yes.
Oh,
And again, ours it blooms at the perfect time. And throughout the year, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, it's blooming, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, 3 days later, there's an explosion, right? We're like, wow, look at it
So
go.
nice.
Yeah.
also pet friendly.
Yeah, we love the African vine. So we've got a dog,
yeah.
we've got a cat, and the
Yeah.
cat is everywhere. Yeah.
Okay.
I like ivy too. It crawls everywhere.
Ivy's good,
yeah.
too.
It's great for the air.
Zinnias,
Yeah. Got
And
African
it's.
violets
I mean,
here
we
and
can
there.
Google it too, but
Yeah.
Right,
You know.
yes.
Oh, for sure.
a spider plant.
And it just makes the whole environment seem friendly and warmer and nice
Absolutely.
and happy.
That's a
So,
great idea.
I like
That's a
that.
great idea.
Yes, very subtly.
Yeah.
Make them mindful.
So that is the real difference between nature connection and forest bathing and forest therapy. So forest therapy, which you need a guide for, of which I am, I will take on all those other things. Meet me here, give me 2 hours. I will help you manage your immediate levels of cortisol and I'll get you to a place where like later you can start to do this on your own. But I'm going to hold the time. I'm going to hold the curriculum. I'm going to hold safety, right? I'm going to first aid kit, wilderness first aid training. And so you don't have to have that all in your head, right? You're just going to like open yourself up and you can drop in. You can become much more immersed at a deeper level. When people try to practice on their own, there's still all those thoughts in the back of their mind, right? Am I doing this right? Where am I going? What if I get lost? Mosquitoes are terrible, right? What's that sound?
Well,
so you're
one
holding
question-
the vessel for all those things, and it's not allowing you to connect as deeply,
Right.
to immerse as deeply.
You're stressing instead of.
Yeah. So people that want to participate in your program, do you have something online where they can reach out to you?
So I've got a website and I've got an email.
But I know when I'm
still
outside and I take a big breath, I feel better. You know, you just need people to like really think about
the
it.
light bulb in your body goes off.
A quote by John Muir. My favorite one from him is, I've known this one since I was a kid, but into the forest I go to lose my mind and find my soul.
Yeah.
I believe that there's a message in trees about rebirth because they go to sleep every year, they lose their leaves, they look like they're devastated. And spring comes along and they come back to life. Like I'm just so drawn by that.
Well said, Kim. Our forests really are so important to us all for so many different reasons. Let's all do our part to protect them because there's nobody else who's going to do it. I think one of today's biggest takeaways was supporting our mental health maybe doesn't have to require a major life change. What if it's as simple as taking a step outside, going for a walk, sitting by a lake, tending your indoor garden plants, being mindful of our amazing world all around us? What if for the kids' next birthday party, we booked them in for a nature walk? If you'd like to connect with Sam, it's Sam White at Forests for Rest, Muskoka. We are so thankful for you joining us today, Sam. He's a GIFT certified forest therapy guide. His email address is forestsforrestmuskoka@gmail.com. FORESTFORESTMUSKOKA@gmail.com. His number is 705-706-7743, and you can also follow him on Facebook and Instagram.
And thank you for tuning in. Please connect with us at askmomstoday@gmail.com. You can also find us on YouTube and Hunters Bay Radio 88.7 on the dial, or www.muskokaradio.com. As always, we hope we've helped you feel empowered, heard, and supported, especially supported. And please remember, moms, dads, kids, we know you do your best, and you're not alone. So until next time, please take care of yourself and others when you can. You've got this. You've got this.